Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I want to talk about who will the Atlanta Hawks sign in free agency. So let's get into today's video. I want to hear down below, what do you guys think from the Atlanta Hawks? All right, let's get right into it. If you guys didn't know, Chris Dunn has a player option. He's probably going to accept the $5 million. And Lou Will, Tony Snell, John Collins, Solomon Hill, Brandon Goodwin, Skylar Mays, and Nathan Knight are all free agents, with Collins, Goodwin, Mays, and Knight all being restricted free agents. With that being said, what I think is going to happen is I don't think they're going to keep John Collins. Somebody's going to overpay him, and they're not going to bring him back. So what I think is next year's lineup is going to be, interesting, because with Hunter and our man Cam Reddish coming back from injury, it's going to create a lot of stuff they weren't able to do this year. So what do I think the Hawks are going to do with this new, obviously depth that they weren't able to have for most of the year? Nick McMillan being back for a full offseason. The starting lineup, I believe, next year is going to, at the start of the year, is probably going to be Trae Young, Bogdan Bogdanovic, either Cam Reddish or probably DeAndre Hunter as the starting small forward, and Daniel Gallinari as the power forward with Clint Capella at the center. Then you'll have off the bench Kevin Huerter and Cam Reddish, most likely, Chris Dunn, and that's really the depth they have right there right now. You could argue Bruno Fernando and our guy, I'm blanking on his name, Onyeka Okongwu, is going to be there. Okongwu is going to be in that rotation, of course. But besides that, I don't believe in Bruno Fernando. I could expect them to trade him this offseason, which would open up $1.7 million in cap space, which would bring them over to $20.8 million in cap space. So I want to hear your thoughts down below. What do you think is going to happen? So I think their best shot right now, if they go with this roster and they don't re-sign John Collins, try to bring in Jeff Green. He made $2.5 million, averaged 11 points, shot 41% from 3, 49% from the field, had over 4 rebounds a game, 1.5 assists, half a block, and half a steal a game. He might be pricey because somebody might overpay him, a contender with some money, so he might not be available there. They could go with Doug McDermott, 40% career three-point shooter, had 14 points, but I already think they have a lot of shooting, and I think they want defenders who can shoot. So this is where I look at this. Let's go. They bring back Solomon Hill and Tony Snell, which Tony Snell made $12 million, and I really think he's probably going to be making like 3, maybe 4, so maybe 5. Let's put him at 5 just in case. So Tony Snell at 5, Solomon Hill at 2.1. That's $7.1 million there. Then you bring in Torrey Craig or Jakar Sampson. That's going to bring you to about $8.9 million. So in this case, let's say they bring in Torrey Craig and Solomon Hill and Tony Snell. Then they bring back, and that's only $8.9 million. Spend $5 million on Lou Will, and you still that's some shooting. That's $13.9 million. And you still have, and we traded Bruno Fernando already. Okay, so that's $20.8 million. Take off to 18.8 because you have to pay about like $2 million to their first round pick. So Torrey Craig, Solomon Hill, Tony Snell, and Lou Williams for $13.9 million. And they probably would want to throw on James Johnson to fill out the front court, who he probably is going to get paid about $2.53 million. So that'll bring us up, if he gets paid $2.5 million, I'd say, that's $16.4 million. And they could really go and get an actual point guard. I would say TJ McConnell would be dope if they could bring in TJ McConnell. Ish Smith and Alfred Payton are good options. So are guys who are too similar to Chris Dunn, as like they're not going to be able to hit 3-point ball, and they'll have defense. So if they keep Chris Dunn, don't worry about getting a point guard who plays defense. Let's get, at the very least, TJ McConnell, who's just like an all-around guy, not the best defender, not the best 3-point shooter, but he can pass well, he can hit the 3-point ball, he can get some steals. He's not elite at anything, but he's a very well-rounded point. Cameron Payne would be awesome, but they might not be able to afford him. Raul Neto, 40% 3-point shooter, and he's a guy who'll get you a steal or 2 every single game. He'd be really good. So I think James Johnson, Tony Snell, Solomon Hill, Torrey Craig, and Lou Williams. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 guys that they could sign right there. And that would bring them to 14 men on the roster. And if they already draft one person, which would be, in my mind, Sharif Cooper, which they wouldn't even need to get a point guard. So you could argue with that thing, they could honestly, instead of just getting, you know, Solomon Hill or Tony Snell. They could even try to upgrade to a player maybe like a Reggie Bullock. Maybe not bring back Solomon Hill and go for like Reggie Bullock, who Reggie Bullock made 4.1, so he'll probably make the same. So let's take that out. Let's go Reggie Bullock right here. Torrey Craig for 1.8. Then you got Solomon Hill on 2.1. That's 3.9. Then you bring in Reggie Bullock for 4.1. That brings you up to $8 million. Throw in 5 for Lou Will. Then another, throw in 5 for Lou. That's 13. Then you throw in, 2.5 for James Johnson, 3. That's 16. And you throw a deal out to Reggie Bullock. Oh, God. So how much would that be? I'm probably so bad at math. So Solomon Hill and Tony Snell's probably going to make the same as Solomon Hill, which is 2.1. So 2.1 plus the 4.1, that's $6,200,000. Then throw on Torrey Craig to bring it up to like 7.9. And then you throw on 5 for Lou Will, which is probably going to bring you to 13. 3 for James Johnson. And yeah, that's really good. Sharif Cooper, you're at like 17, you still have $4 million to play with. If you really wanted, you can go and get a center such as either Robin Lopez, Gorgie Dang, and if they're too expensive, you could go Biombo or McGee, who at most, like, those guys are going to be between 1.7 and $5 million, in my opinion. What do you guys think of that? So imagine this lineup next year, the depth chart: Trae Young, Bogdanovich, and you got at starting small forward DeAndre Hunter. Then at power forward, Daniel Gallinari. Center, Clint Capella. Now backup center, Onyeka Okongwu, rotating with a free agent they could sign. Backup power forward, James Johnson. Backup small forward, if Hunter's starting, it's probably gonna be Reddish. Then Herter. Then you got Lou Will, and if you need defense, you got Chris Dunn. And then over here, if you need some extra defense, you have Torrey Craig off the bench, and you also have Tony Snell, who can also play some shooting guard. And then you also could go out there and throw in, like, I really like James Johnson right there. Reggie Bullock's another guy that'll probably be playing more than Tony Snell. So you could really have it that Herter, Reddish, and Snell and Bullock just rotate the shooting guard small forward positions off the bench, with Lou Will and Chris Dunn playing point guard, and Sharif Cooper if they draft them. Then at power forward, you got James Johnson, and you could also go small ball with Hunter or, really Hill at the power forward position. At the backup, if James Johnson isn't working or Gallinari isn't working, then you got Clint Capella, Onyeka Okongwu. And if they bring back Nathan Knight, or if they go out and get a guy like McGee, Biombo, Gorgie Dang on the minimum, they would so benefit from that. Let me hear your thoughts down below, guys. That's it for me, but peace out.